The Bible is pretty clear in the New Testament that it's supposed to be, well, first of all, the original design, God didn't have Adam have 2, 3, 5 wives. He had one Eve. And that was good for 900 years plus. Polygamy begins to develop as you go through the book of Genesis with the one man who had 2 wives, and he gets involved in self-defense, and he feels justified that he killed a younger man than himself who was trying to kill him first. But polygamy became popular with wealthier people in the Old Testament, including people like Abraham and a lot of the kings of Israel. David had multiple wives. Saul had a concubine. Solomon, of course, just took polygamy to the crazy extreme. But there is nothing scripturally that says this is okay. In fact, we have ample evidence from the examples of those who had multiple wives of how bad it is. Probably one of the best examples is Hannah and her other wife, Peninnah, that were married to this very godly man, but he had 2 wives, and the one had children and the other did not. And there was this back and forth between them that made Hannah very, very upset. And it's like, why would you do that? And, this split thing. The picture of marriage is Christ in the church. Christ isn't going to have multiple wives. He's going to have one church that he's going to marry. And of course, he's taking the individual pieces of that church and putting them together, but it's one church. But anybody who comes to the New Testament and says, well, polygamy is okay, they're missing the whole point. A bishop then must be the what? Husband of one wife. Deacons likewise, husband of one wife. And you see that in the church leadership, polygamy is strictly forbidden. And I from what I know of early church history, the early church became very strong on that, even though it was acceptable in some areas of the Roman Empire and, of course, the Parthian Empire. And so by the time you get into the 5th, 6th, 7th century, the norm was one man, one woman. It was very rare if there was somebody with polygamy. And then polygamy in this country doesn't really get started until you get a guy by the name of Joseph Smith. And we don't even want to go down that road, but he started his whole cult based on multiple wives. And they say, well, no, it was based on that book about the origins of the American Indians. But that was, as far as I'm concerned, that was the basic cover story for him to have multiple wives. And that's what got him in trouble in New York, got him kicked out of there, and got him sent to other places, and finally they wind up in Utah. Well, one group of them winds up in Utah, the other group wound up in Missouri. But the multiple wives thing, even the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints today does not condone multiple wives. Now I know there's radical groups among them that still do, but they're in the minority. So anyone who tries to say from the New Testament or from the Old Testament that they can justify multiple wives is missing the forest for the trees. Well, they are, Oh, well, we can't base our convictions on what somebody got away with. That's not the place to go. Brother so-and-so embezzled from his company and he never got caught and it really profited him, so I should do the same thing. No, that's and maybe God was merciful and he didn't get caught. Well, we don't go and say, well, that's the way it should be. God has given us the pattern, and we should follow his pattern and not the pattern of convenience. The question I would ask, though, somebody that was serious about that is, why would you want multiple wives? Honestly, why? What does that accomplish? When it seems like it would be better if each of those women had their own husband that would give them the kind of attention that they're supposed to have. So,
Well, these new guys, these new Christian men are saying it's good to multiply the children.
Why can't these women find some other man to multiply children with, and maybe some other man who wouldn't be preoccupied with his 1, 2, or 4 other wives to keep him from multiplying children?
I agree.
So, all right. You're probably going to have to do some editing on that one, but try not to have me talking too fast. I sound like I came from New York. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and get started. I don't know where everybody is. Where is everybody?